trying my best to think about how to best introduce the world of the Mojave Wasteland in 2284, I muddled around with a few different narratives of the history of the Fallout universe, covering things like the historical divergence and details about when the bombs dropped. While those details are definitely important to get the total picture of the world, it seemed to sort of take a back seat to the here and now, the actual setting. In some ways, it's almost sacrilegious to have anyone except Ron Perlman introduce you to the game spaces. He's done so for every Fallout game prior.
War. War never changes. When atomic fire consumed the Earth, those who survived did so in great underground vaults. When they opened, their inhabitants set out across the ruins of the old world to build new societies, establishing villages, forming tribes. As decades passed, what had been the American Southwest united beneath the flag of the new California Republic, dedicated to old world values of democracy and the rule of law. As the Republic grew, so did its needs. Scouts spread east, seeking territory and wealth in the dry and merciless expanse of the Mojave Desert. They returned with tales of a city untouched by the warheads that had scorched the rest of the world, and a great wall spanning the Colorado River. The NCR mobilized its army and sent it east to occupy Hoover Dam and restore it to working condition. But across the Colorado, another society had arisen under a different flag. A vast army of slaves forged from the conquest of 86 tribes, Caesar's Legion. 4 years have passed since the Republic held the dam, just barely, against the Legion's onslaught. The Legion did not retreat. Across the river, it gathers strength. Campfires burn. Training drums beat. Through it all, the New Vegas Strip has stayed open for business, under the control of its mysterious overseer, Mr. House, and his army of rehabilitated tribals and police robots. You are a courier, hired by the Mojave Express to deliver a package to the New Vegas Strip. What seemed like a simple delivery job has taken a turn for the worse.
You got what you were after, so pay up.
You're crying in the rain, Pally.
Guess who's waking up over here?
Time to cash out.
Will you get it over with?
Maybe cons kill people without looking them in the face. But I ain't a fink. Dig? You've made your last delivery, kid. Sorry you got twisted up in this scene. From where you're kneeling must seem like an 18-carat run of bad luck. Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
Well, that was a short game. Despite a gunshot to the head, you actually seem to be doing okay. Aside from your occupation as a courier, as stated by the narrator, this event establishes the only other definitive characteristic about who you are, in so much that the fact that you're tough enough to take a bullet to the brain. It's either that or Rat Pack Arab Chandler is a terrible shot, and I haven't watched enough Friends to know if this is established canon or not. After bypassing some DLC confirmation messages, we wake up in the bed to be greeted by a doctor who goes by the name of Doc Mitchell.
You're awake. How about that?
Delightfully, he's voiced by Michael Hogan of Battlestar Galactica fame, and also seems to be somewhat modeled after him as well. Hogan puts a bit of a Western tint on this character, making him kind and somewhat tough all at the same time. When asked about our name, the default given is Courier, which is part of the game not wanting to set preconceived notions. I can tell you, though, for this playthrough, we're going to end up being a cowboy named Cecil.
I can't say it's what I'd have picked for you, but if that's your name, that's your name. I'm Doc Mitchell. Welcome to Goodsprings.
After choosing what you look like, I always end up going with a 30-something male with salt and pepper hair. We're led by Doc from the bed to get a medical diagnosis in the most professional manner possible, trying our hands at one of those Carnival Arcade Test Your Strength games. The notion's a bit silly, to be sure, but this interface actually serves as more of the game's character sheet generation. The special RPG system has been used throughout Fallout history, with minor modifications made in each subsequent game. I'd wager to say the largest change in systems was between 2 and 3, as it had to accommodate the shift from isometric overhead to first-person action. The transition, all in all, seemed to be pretty smooth, though. And to date, it's one of my favorite RPG systems. Special stands for the primary statistics given to your character: strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. These stats are the hardest to manipulate in game and govern a host of other minor stats. How you choose to allocate your points determines what kind of character you play. You could put a large amount into strength and endurance and neglect intelligence and punch your way through most problems, or you could go high charisma and intelligence and see if you could talk your way out of most situations. The agile, sneaky sniper or the boisterous, explosive expert, it's really up to the player. Further traits and perks earned in the game help to shape what kind of courier you will be. For this playthrough, our Cowboy Cecil will be a bit of an everyman. We'll put 7 into strength so we can carry a lot of stuff, because being a pack rat has its benefits. An average of 5 into perception for a few later perks, and a whopping 8 into endurance, in order for a host of cybernetic implants that I'll cover later, as well as some extra hit points. We'll neglect charisma down to 1 and be a social misanthrope, as it does the least amount of good in the long run. An early tag in points and speech can largely counteract this, and companion nerve is of little consequence to me. And an int of 8 is perfect for a lot of skill checks and a healthy number of skill points. An agility of 5 will eventually be bumped up to 7 for the purpose of Slayer, and then brought back down to 6 with a better perk or trait. Finally, luck of 6 means that we do a little bit better than a coin flip, and who doesn't like to be a little bit lucky? With a build like this, we'll end up being a bit of an everyman, which lets us explore the Mojave to the fullest.
Huh. Must be some frontal lobe damage.
If this all sounded like gibberish to you, no worries. Just know that our character is strong, smart, and albeit a bit on the silent side to start with. After rolling our primary stats, we're then asked to follow Doc to the couch for a bit of psychological profiling. For players of Fallout 3, this serves as an analog to the GOAT exam, asking you various questions to determine where certain tag skills go. You can skip quickly through all of this if you like, and once again determine yourself what to tag. And with 2 bears high-fiving, not on the ink blot, there's not much point, really. There are all sorts of different stratagems for tagging, specializing in weapons and access, or perhaps shore up on your weaknesses. We'll be going for the latter strategy. Finally, one of the more welcome returns is the trait system. This helps add a bit of extra flavor to your character by letting you get 2 perks that have both an up and downside. You can choose to skip out on these if you like, but they can add quite a few notable changes. Heavy-handed, for example, really helps you with that early game brawler feel, while good-natured helps you play more of a pacifist. This list is expanded with the addition of Old World Blues, giving you even more options. For our everyman, we'll go with a small frame for a little bit of extra agility, and skill to get more skill points. The downside from these comes in the form of limbs that are easier to break, and minus 10% experience throughout the game. We're planning to cover a lot of content, though, so the experience shouldn't be too much of an issue. In the interest of going for eventual perfect 100, it's actually possible to glitch the skilled trait. When you're prompted to finalize your character after leaving town, it's possible to take the skilled trait for a second time, giving you another extra 5 points in all skills. It's a little bit on the cheap side, but this will free up some fun perks later in the game. One of the aspects that I enjoy the most about New Vegas is how little characterization they give your main character. Being a delivery man or woman and getting shot in the head are the only two establishing details for your character. This leaves a wide berth for role-playing, something that Obsidian specializes in when it comes to game creation. I personally enjoy a bit of amnesia for my cowboy, with the leveling up perk system to be a representation of remembering past skills. All in all, while Fallout 3's intro may be more memorable by starting you out in a vault and gaining freedom, New Vegas offers more player agency by giving you more of a blank slate. Your past will come up in some cases, especially pertaining to downloadable content, but where you came from and your motives are very much in your head as a player. Our last words from Doc come in two details. First is a shipping receipt for what we were carrying when we were shot. In this case, it was a poker chip made out of platinum, which of course was taken from us by the man in the checkered suit. The second detail comes in the form of a gift, a Pip-Boy, which is a sort of a wrist-mounted computer, watch, radio, and navigation system all in one. This is sort of this world's iPhone without the phone, which is fine by me, as I spend most of my time on the phone playing Infinity Blade more than making calls. In all honesty, it's a bit of an extravagant gift. Doc tells us he grew up in the vault, which is where the Pip-Boy came from. In reality, though, this is a bit of a shoehorned into the plot, as the entire player interface is essentially ported over from Fallout 3 on the Pip-Boy. Go with what works, I guess. Before heading out, the game prompts us if we'd prefer to play on hardcore mode or not. For some, this adds a few role-playing options, like having to maintain your hunger, water, or sleep, as well as adding extra weight to things like ammunition. To me, it really just feels like a bit of extra upkeep and will be hardly noticeable in this playthrough, so we'll just keep it off. Once outside, we get a marvelous glare from the game that seems to tell us, here's a whole world for you to explore. Enjoy. Alas, this is somewhat diminished by the confirmation of more DLC installations. Still, the town of Good Springs welcomes you to explore. One of the DLC packs I rather enjoy are the different starter packs that are given to you on the game's outset. Originally, these were offered as pre-order bonuses for the game, depending on where you pre-ordered from. When I originally got the game, I was pleasantly surprised with an armored vault suit and a shiny new 10mm pistol, evoking memories from Fallout 3. The packs were released alongside the Gunrunner's arsenal near the end of the game's last story downloadable content, which was more than a year later. It's a small thing, but this gear can once again define what kind of character you are. Perhaps you're an armored mercenary, or a tribal who lives off the land. You could be a survivor from the vault, or even a caravaner with a shotgun. I personally mix and match a few things here and there, going for a bit of a survivalist. I'll keep the weathered pistol, shotgun, and machete, and tend to sell everything off later to Chet. Extra caps to start never hurt. On our way into the saloon, we happen by a robot named Victor rolling on one wheel.
Howdy, partner. Might I say you're looking fit as a fiddle?
This robot model is called a Securitron and is unique to New Vegas. Victor was one of the first characters to be shown in New Vegas, heralding in the first promo. His personality, strangely enough, is that of a friendly cowboy. He'll greet you kindly and reveal that it was he who dug you out of the grave after being shot. He'll also tell you that he's been in town for somewhere between 10 and 15 years, but that's all the details that we can get out of him at the moment. Vic, while seemingly nice enough, is a bit of a mystery to begin with.
Anyway, it's a right peaceful town, and I reckon it's as fine a place to settle as any.
Still, we'll thank him all the same.
Happy trails!
Cheyenne, stay. Don't worry, she won't bite unless I tell her to.
At the saloon, we'll run into Sunny Smiles. She's sort of a guardian angel for Good Springs, with her dog Cheyenne in tow.
I guess there's a thing or two I could show you. Sounds like you need all the help you can get after what they done to you. Meet me outside, behind the saloon.
She offers to help us get back on our feet, and the task that we help cooperate in serve as part of the game's tutorial. There's a good experience of money to be had in participating, so I find myself to give her a hand every time I start the game.
Now, see the sarsaparilla fields on the fence there? take this and try to hit a couple of them.
To start training, we are taken out back to shoot beverage bottles off a fence with a rifle. The varmint rifle she gives us harkens back to the hunting rifle in Fallout 3, but with a nice detail that we can now use the iron sights. While this is clearly anachronistic of shooters like Modern Warfare, it's still a nice detail. Who doesn't like having a little bit more control when it comes to shooting?
Nice shot. Well, that's a start.
When it's proven that our marksman skills haven't been diminished from our head wound, we're offered to help Sonny take out some geckos around the town's water supply. Geckos are a callback from Fallout 2 and are exactly what they sound like, lizards. Of course, mutated in the size of a dog, but lizards nonetheless. They aren't terribly dangerous on their own, but have known to cause trouble in packs. With Sonny's help, we're able to take care of the first 2 water pumps with no problem. The third, however, sets up the first quest with a divergent ending of sorts. A Good Spring settler will be attacked by 3 geckos at the third pump. If you're too slow, she ends up biting the dust. By jumping off the cliff, however, it's easy enough to take a few pot shots from the distracted geckos and save the woman's life.
Holy moly. If you hadn't come here like you've done, I'd be a goner for sure.
If you manage to save her, she'll not only thank you and give you a few bottles of purified water, but also some reputation towards your status in town. After assisting in the wells, Sonny has one last bit of information to impart with you, pertaining to how to live off the land. She sends you to go gather up a few different plants to help craft some medicine. This serves as the game's introduction to its robust crafting system, which has been greatly expanded on since its inception in Fallout 3. The first plant, Xander Root, is found outside of an abandoned school, guarded by some oversized mantises. It's pretty easy. On the way to the graveyard, we'll stop by the general store and sell a few things and pick up a shovel from Chet, the owner.
You must be the one Doc Mitchell was patching up. The way I heard it, I didn't think you'd be walking out of that office. I've got plenty of supplies for sale. Even got some weapon mods and special ammo. Well worth the caps if you ask me.
For now, Chet seems to just be a simple businessman, but we'll get to know him a little bit more later. On the way up to the graveyard, I happen to cross paths with a giant scorpion. Normally, bark scorpions aren't much of a problem, but I decided to take it on with a knife instead of a gun. Unfortunately, the sting is quite potent, and I managed to lose quite a bit of health. The healing power that Sonny has seems to be all the more appealing now. At the graveyard, we dispatch a few giant bugs, this time bloat flies, and gather up the second ingredient, Brock flower. There are a few different things of interest, like the collectible snow globe that sits on top of one of the graves. There's also other graves that can be dug up with a shovel, revealing ammunition. It might be a bit disrespectful, but the ethics in Nuclear Wasteland aren't that hard to put on the back burner, really. This also serves as the same graveyard that we actually got shot at the beginning of the game.
Let me see what you got. Yeah, these'll do just fine. Just fine.
With our ingredients, we head back to Sonny and craft the healing powder for the final part of the tutorial. With this being complete, Sonny recommends that we head back to the saloon and introduce ourselves to Trudy, the town mom of sorts. In the end, we have a good reputation with the town, some cash, a gun with ammo, some clothes, and a fancy watch. Not bad for coming back from the dead.